Hey everybody, don't you just love shopping for plants in the spring? So do I. And although I love to try new things and I buy plenty of new things to try every year, there are some things that I just make sure to include in my container gardens year after year, and I'm going to show you 5 of my favorite plants. Let's start with cannas. Every year I grow a really large pot right by my back door of just cannas, and they are the backdrop for all of my other container plantings by my back door. The nice thing about these plants is that they grow, the ones I grow, Wyoming is the variety I grow. This is Tropicana. It has variegated dark and red and orange and green foliage. The one I grow has dark foliage, and it's a huge pot that grows about, the plants grow about 6 feet tall, and they flower with orange flowers late in the summer. And they are great because you can grow them from year to year. If you plant one year, you can save those in your basement and bring them back out again in the spring and plant them up, and you'll have cannas again next year, and likely even more than you had the year before. So that's a really great budget tip for container gardening. And the other thing I like about cannas is that you can grow them in sun or shade. They flower best in sun, but I do grow some of them in my shade pots in the front of my yard, which is a lot more shady, and they don't produce many flowers, but the foliage is so striking and architectural that it's a really great addition to that grouping. Next, I'd like to tell you about another really great background plant, and this is papyrus. And papyrus comes in many different sizes, and this one is Nile Princess. It grows only 2 feet tall, but I have had some that grow 6, 7 feet tall as well. Look at this really cool foliage. These little umbrellas, these little tufty umbrellas that form at the tops of the stems are just so unique and unusual. It's just a texture that you can't, and a form that you just can't get in any other plant. So I love to put them at the back of a container or in the center of a container and then fill in around it with other plants. The other thing I like about this plant is that it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and better all summer long. So, you know, it doesn't look super impressive at the garden center right now like this, but by late summer it will be this tall and just be filled with all of these little tufty umbrellas at the top, and then the foliage. It's not a hardy plant, but by winter, when it gets cold, the foliage turns this kind of really light wheat color, and the plants retain their form throughout the winter. So I always leave a pot of them just sitting on my back step because it's really pretty. It's like an ornamental grass, but it is kind of an ornamental grass, but it's in a container, and so it just has really great form. It retains, and I love that. Salvias are another thing. The tall salvias are great. I always grow these by my back door because of the hummingbirds that they bring in, and I have a huge window in the back, and I love to watch the hummingbirds out my back door. The standard sort of Salvia guaranitica is black and blue. This is an old standard cultivar. It has these really dark stems and blue flowers. And again, this plant, I mean, look how little this is right now. It's just, you know, it's a nice container plant, but again, this is another one you see this theme with me. I like things that just keep getting bigger and better. This one will be 3 or so feet tall, and it'll take up as much room as you can give it in a container. So it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And this blue one is really pretty, and this is a newer hybrid, and it's called Ember's Wish. Look at these beautiful orangish kind of coral colored flowers. I thought that would be a nice kind of contrast in this container, just because of this this sort of darker, it sort of brightens up. It takes this theme of this red container color and it just brightens it up. It adds a little pop of color. And if it were by your back door, it would be bringing in these hummingbirds. It would be so great. Another plant that I'd like to add to this container that is one of my favorites is a begonia. Now this is a dragonwing red, which is the sort of old standard winged begonia variety, and it's just a tried and true great variety that again gets bigger and bigger all summer long. The thing I like about this begonia so much is that it's not picky about watering, so you can not, if you forget to water or you water a lot, it does really well no matter what, and it tolerates sun or shade pretty well. And it'll fill a pot if you give it a pot, or it'll take up the space that you give it in another container. What do you think? Maybe maybe we'll put it right here, and it might seem a little small in this container to start with, but again, it's going to get quite a bit bigger and probably a couple feet tall even if we let it. But speaking of begonias, Rex begonias are another really big favorite of mine, and this one's called Jurassic Junior Arctic Twist. Look at these cool twisty centers on these leaves. Rex begonias are so fun because there's just such a wide variety of leaf sizes and shapes and forms. It's just so beautiful. And these are really great in the shade. Again, this is another begonia that is not too picky about watering. So I like things that can tolerate drying out and then be watered well. And this is one of those, you know, on my front steps, it's not super easy to get, there's no hose hookup right there. So I have to carry a watering can up there. And so the less watering I have to do on my front steps, the better. So I have a whole collection of Rex begonias up there. And the hard thing is I keep buying more every year, and I save them from year to year. So because they make great houseplants as well. So I'm running out of room, but I just can't resist them. Every year at the garden center, there are so many cool new ones. So definitely, if you don't like to water, Rex begonias are your go-to. So finally, number 5 is the petunias. Now, you know, there are new petunia colors coming out every year. There are so many different kinds of petunias, from ones that trail and make great hanging basket plants to ones that form nice little mounds in pots or in borders. And so you just have to really read the tag carefully to see which size and form you're buying. But I mean, the color options are just endless. And so once I've purchased my sort of more structural plants, that's when I go in and I just see what catches my eye for color and you know, kind of filler plants around them. And in this pot, I thought that this little Fiona Flash looked really sweet. It kind of takes that darker red, and it takes this kind of orangey, brighter pop and kind of marries the two together. So what do you think? Maybe we should pop a couple of petunias in here around the edge. And so those are 5 of my favorite container plants that I make sure I buy every year. And it looks like I can start planting now.